My senior thesis film is based on a legend of Guam, which everyone on the island is familiar with. My hope is that it will inspire others that have a passion for art like me, particularly kids on Guam. On the animation side of things, I was super excited because I finally got to put everything I learned to practice in this senior thesis film, and that included animation, dialogue, which is what I wanted to put in my portfolio. Doing this senior thesis film, I wanted to achieve a few different things. First, there is no animation or anything like it of any of the Chamorro legends on Guam, and I wanted to show the possibility of how cool it would look like to see these characters and story come to life, because they're really so dramatic. There are 3 characters involved in this short film. A chief, who is the father of the princess, if you will, and this girl who is in love with someone else who she should not be in love with because she is basically going against her culture, her social norms, and expectations. A lot of Asian families and islanders have these expectations that they put on their kids, and if they go against it, there's always some tension that gets created. And she's promised to another person. I really wanted to capture both sides of the argument in this film, to touch on that subject because I'm sure a lot of people could relate to it. I understand both sides, where the father only wants what is best for their children and will do anything at all cost. And I also understand how it feels to want to spread your wings and make your own decisions, even if that means going against what your family wants for you. So, in a way, I guess I can see both sides is reflected in this film, where it's not really biased on one side of the story to the father or the girl. Coming into this project, I wanted to apply all that I have learned of the animation process from start to finish. I wanted to stick to it as much as possible to what my professors Hendel, Jesse, and Zach taught us, or as much as I could remember, which is going through a full pass of storyboard, layout, blocking, splining, refining the animation, rendering, and compositing to get the final look. I am glad I went through it doing it this way because in the storyboard phase, I actually had another idea. And the original idea, I was going to tell a majority part of the legend. But that quickly changed because I realized that it was way too ambitious and way too long. And there was a higher chance that I would have not been able to accomplish it, especially that I am doing it on my own. Now there is one part of animation that I lack the knowledge of, and in my opinion, way too complicated for me to explore more, which is effects. I knew from the beginning that my short film would look a little dull with any effects on it, and I had a wild imagination. But lo and behold, a saving grace, Caleb Rivas, came out of nowhere and offered to do the effects for my film, which included rain and mud. So a huge shout out to Caleb for being my saving grace on this film. This legend is something that is historical and dear to the hearts of the Highlanders back home. So I wanted to get things accurate and do my research. So I read and read and read all that I could find on the internet and the legend of all the different versions of the story. Although I wanted to be true to the culture of what the ancient Chamorros probably wore, I was limited with technical knowledge of how to achieve it and also the guidelines, which I would have to follow. So compromises had to be made, which I was aware of from the beginning. But things like shaved heads and the sanahis, which are made from shells, I would be able to put them on, and I was able to put together a janky rig for both articles. This project was not just to explore a story, but I also wanted to have a piece to put in my portfolio and be able to showcase my animation abilities. This project, I wanted to focus on dialogue between 3 characters. Even after this project is done, I would not complete my portfolio. However, it would definitely add a lot to it. Not just in animation, but in lighting and compositing, which are also other areas that I do find intriguing. After I graduate, I do still want to work on my portfolio, so I would be able to showcase more of my animation skills. What I have in mind is to work on my body mechanics, action shots, and creature animation as well. Now that I'm about to graduate, I always get asked the question of, what are you going to do after? Where are you going to go? What studio are you going to apply to? Is it the big major ones? Well, if I got into those, hey, that'd be pretty cool too. But I think for me personally, I would want to work for the ministry because I know that's where I belong. And I owe it to God because He gave me this talent and I owe it for Him to give it back.
So yeah.